In this video, I'm talking about relaxed performances for autism with my friend Saffron Barker. Coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to the Aspie world. My name is Dan. I have Asperger's syndrome, OCD, ADHD, and dyslexia, and I make weekly videos on this type of content. So if you're new around here and you'd like to learn more, remember to hit that subscribe button by clicking the notification bell. And if you're watching over on Facebook, be sure to click that like and follow button to see daily videos from me. Right then, as I said, this video is all about relaxed performances and how they are good for people in the autism spectrum, but I wanted to go deeper and talk to my friend Saffron Barker, the legendary YouTuber Saffron Barker, about her experience in actually performing in a relaxed performance. So Saffron, do you want to introduce yourself and say what your channel's about?
Yeah. Hi everyone, so I am Saffron Barker. I am a British YouTuber and vlogger, and last year I was actually on Strictly Come Dancing, and then I went on this year to do the Strictly Come Dancing tour. So yeah, it's all very exciting, and that's kind of, yeah, what I do.
I would say that, like, Strictly Come Dancing is probably one of the biggest shows we have here in the UK. So
yeah, it is the biggest show on the UK. So
massive, and it was amazing, and Saffron did fantastically well, and we were rooting for the whole time. We voted for you every single time and used all our free votes on the internet and everything. We did the whole 9 yards. You're more than welcome. So the interesting thing about this is the Strictly Come Dancing tour, which Saffron was speaking about then, they did something called relaxed performances. Now, a friend of mine, Connor, actually, he's another autistic YouTuber. He actually went to the one you did, I think it was near Birmingham, and he interviewed AJ for this, I think. And
really?
he experienced it. I think you were getting your makeup done or hair done or something at that time, but he interviewed AJ and spoke to AJ about it and said, hey, we have a mutual friend, because Saffron knows Dan and I know Dan, and it was quite funny. But Connor did the experience from his perspective, which I found amazing. But what I wanted to do was dive into a little bit more on how you as a dancer performer, how you actually experienced the whole relaxed performance. So if it's cool with you, Saf, we're going to do some questions. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. We're going to discuss different bits about the entire thing. And then in the end, we're going to have a little bit of fun and do a bit of a quiz and see if you can answer some fun kind of like topical questions on autism celebrities and things like that. So are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Right, okay. So the first question I got really is, what type of prep work did you have to do for the relaxed performances versus the kind of prep work you had to do for the typical performances that you did every day?
Yeah, so I mean, the relaxed performances was like halfway through the tour, so there wasn't really anything in particular we did to actually prepping for it. However, obviously it was a stripped down version of our like normal performance, so obviously we couldn't have like the pyros, the fireworks, we couldn't have like we couldn't have any flashing lights, or we never had the lights like off either. So I think the only difference was that it was a lot more stripped back. Which was actually really interesting. It was almost like doing a rehearsal, but like a lot more fun. My actual favourite thing about it was the fact that we could actually see everybody and everybody was so engaged. So that was probably like my favourite thing about it. But when it actually comes to prepping for it, I mean, all we really did was strip things back. Rather than do anything that different, because we wanted it to be like any other show. We didn't want these people that come to the relaxed performance to miss out on anything. So for that reason, we just took out things like really loud sounds, pyros, and like flashing lights.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And, it's funny that you said that because, one of the things, there's like relaxed performances in cinemas. I don't know if you've known this, like Cineworld and stuff. They do kind of like showings for specifically autistic people where they like make the lights kind of just a little bit softer, and then they turn the volume down a little bit so it's not so harsh. And a lot of the time, like, you expect kind of people to think that the film's going to be kind of like a different version or something's going to be different, where in actual fact, like you said, you're trying to make it as typical as possible, just accommodating somebody's specific needs. Kind of like if you were doing a show and there was only stairs there, you would just install a ramp for people who are wheelchair users to access it, right? And that was the idea of it. It's more like
and I think also with like the producers of Strictly and stuff as well, because this is the first year they've ever done anything like that as well. They had never done a relaxed performance before, so I think from their point of view as well, that was something they were really passionate about it being almost exactly the same. But yeah, like you said, just basically altering it to somebody's needs.
Yeah, like basically you're just accommodating everybody, so everyone has a chance to kind of see these shows, which is kind of cool, because I think like they do something similar, like the matinee shows when you're doing like theatre work is kind of like, so the elder generation can go in an afternoon where they're not surrounded by, you know, young kids kind of all hyped up, and that's a kind of cool way. So you're accommodating for everybody, but still this is really big. And like, it's interesting that you said that this is the first year they've ever done relaxed performances, because it's such a neat thing, because there's like 1 in 100 people in the UK who have an autism spectrum condition, and I just find that fascinating that up until this point there was never relaxed performances from Strictly, which is kind of cool. But it's cool that you were on like the first one.
I don't know if this is like, well, this is probably really bad from my end, but like I didn't even know that like a relaxed performance was a thing, because I've been to so many shows before and I'd never seen them before, I'd never heard of them. I'd always been a fan of Strictly, I'd never seen them before, so from my point of view, like I didn't really even know about them. So like, yeah, it was such an amazing thing to do, and I think definitely they'll be doing it every year.
That's awesome. That is really, really good. Okay, so how did you feel like when you were actually doing the performances, the relaxed performances, how did you feel versus the typical ones? Was it kind of like, did anything throw you off because you were so used to like maybe pyros going off, or you were so used to a bright light in a certain place or a bang or something? Was it off-putting that they'd stripped it back, or was it just like, how was it?
I wouldn't really say it was off-putting. I think all of us were like, oh, how are we going to get like our energy when, you know, there isn't like all these lights and like really loud music to get you pumping, because we had already done like 20 shows by this point, and we was like, where are we going to get all this adrenaline from? But the difference is you could actually see everybody in the audience, so it was the most amazing feeling. Like obviously normally the lights are dark, you can still see people, but people aren't necessarily so engaged. Like with a relaxed performance, people can get up and move around and come towards you, and I don't know, there was just something so different. Like when we did our first like song, it's like a big group number, I remember coming back and I was like all choked up, because it was just the sweetest thing ever, and it felt so rewarding that all of these people that never would have had the chance to go and see the Strictly tour actually be able to come, and yeah, just getting to actually see everybody, to see how much they're loving it and getting engaged. So no, actually I genuinely think it was my favourite performance.
Dude, honestly, that's amazing. It's so nice to hear as well, because a lot of the work that I do, and I can share that kind of feeling as what you're saying, because the work that I do on my channel, because I have Asperger's syndrome, where I'm able to verbally communicate, and I have, you know, I'm not nonverbal and stuff, and I can express how I feel and how autism impacts my life. It's nice and it's rewarding to help people, and by doing relaxed performances, you're helping people, you know, because people want to enjoy the show and see the show, and so like that's just such an amazing thing. It's awesome. I just love it. So
yeah, and I spoke to so many like people after, like whether it be parents or people themselves, who came up, because we like did like a huge meet and greet of everyone thereafter, and almost everyone had said like, we've never ever been able to go see the show, so this is like the best thing that's ever happened, and all of them asked like, please do this again. So yeah.
Was anything like super surprising? Like, were you surprised that people were affected by lights and sound? Like, or was this kind of like... I wasn't
surprised about lights, because I already knew that, but about the sound, I really was. Like, that was just something I just never knew before.
Because there's a sensory processing disorder which comes comorbidly with autism, right? And so I think everybody I know who has an autism spectrum condition actually has sensory processing disorder as well. So I actually use noise cancelling headphones when I'm in big crowds, because obviously it kind of gets overwhelming, especially if I was in a performance like that. I mean, I haven't been to any, because I haven't had access to any, you know, relaxed performances, which I find fascinating as well. But yeah, sound and touch and sight are huge ones. Yeah, huge ones. And I think a lot of the time as well, like, seating in certain venues, right, is not really accommodating for people, especially like, I suppose the more modern ones are like you know, plastic seating, which isn't really comfortable, and it can be very, very irritating for someone on the spectrum. But when you're doing like nice big theaters, I think the chairs and stuff are comfy. But it was just something interesting. I wondered if, like, you know, from your perspective, were you kind of like shocked, like, oh, I didn't realize, you know, this or this affected people in this way?
I definitely was shocked about sound. So it's actually really interesting you explaining it as well, because again, I was just kind of oblivious to that. I'd never known that before, so it's obviously nice to know.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's very, very simple. And if I could just really explain it to you, it's like, so autism impacts the brain on its communicative parts, so how the neurological parts mend together to communicate. So every stimuli from sensory input is all communicative. So when you hear something, or you smell something, or you see something, that communicates a signal to the brain. And so that transposes into different ways in people with autism. So for instance, when I hear certain words, it kind of hurts. I know it sounds weird, right? But so I hear certain words, and it's quite painful to hear certain words. And so some people can see color when they hear certain sounds as well. So there's loads of things that can it's called synesthesia, when you see color with sound, and instead of the sound you see a color. So there's loads of things, but yeah, it's very, very fascinating, and I thought I'd just drop that in there in case you didn't know, and anybody watching this obviously could learn a little bit. Okay, so last question before I move on to our awesome rocking quiz. What impression did you get from doing these shows? Like how do you feel like after doing these and seeing how accessible it was? What do you think like the future should be for things? Do you think like, you know, how do you think people should put on shows in the future? Like, this is an interesting question because you've done both. You've done the relaxed ones and the typical normal performances.
Yeah, well, I think that they should definitely have both. Obviously not just relaxed performances, and obviously not non-relaxed performances, because obviously it does make a show like more fun if there's lights and there's pyros and there's flashing lights and stuff. However, like you said, some people can't go and watch that, so it is really nice to do the relaxed performances, and I think it's something that every show should consider. I know that Strictly 100% want to do this again, and they will be doing it in the future, and they don't just want to do like one particular place like we did. We only did the relaxed performance in one show because they had no idea how it was going to turn out, and then it ended up being the best thing ever. So I know that's something they're definitely going to keep up, and I think every show, no matter what sort of show it is, they definitely should have a relaxed performance, because also it's not hard to take those things out either. It's something so tiny that will make such a difference to so many different people.
100%. That's awesome. And I think like by doing that and being like, you know, the biggest show on TV, then going out on the road and then having relaxed performance for the first year, I think things can only get better. And by doing this, it kind of shows willing, and it shows that you guys have like, you know, you've pioneered or flagshipped doing those things on a tour, which I think is amazing. So from the community, thanks for doing that. And I'm sure, you know, a lot of my fans are going to really, you know, appreciate that, and they're going to be looking forward to, you know, seeing more relaxed performances in the future. And like I said, my friend Connor did a video from the other side, you know, he was in the audience, and so I'm going to try and interview him as well on the channel to talk about his side of it as well, what it was like, but fascinating. So their video was actually his video. He vlogged the day. It was shared on the Facebook page of Strictly. So I don't know if you've seen that video at all.
I haven't seen it. I've definitely got to go and check it out. I will, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'll text you the link anyway, just so you can have a quick...
it'd be amazing.
You know, it was really cool. Okay, so I decided that we do a fun little kind of like few minutes at the end with a bit of a quiz, because, well, why not? You know, World Autism Awareness Week and all that jazz. So
I'm going to be bad at this, by the way.
No,
but it's a learning progress, so...
It is learning, but you might... But the thing is, this is cool, because it might surprise you. You might think like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. And also, you might be able to guess right and then be surprised yourself. You might surprise yourself. So let's try it. Okay, so question 1. Which of the following things were made by an autistic person, right? Okay, these are the items here. A Dyson Hoover, TikTok the app, or Rick and Morty the TV show. Which one of those was made by an autistic person?
Rick and Morty the TV show.
Oh yeah, it was Rick and Morty the TV show. Yeah, the Netflix show Rick and Morty. It was actually made by a guy called Dan Harmon, and he is on the autism spectrum. He has the same diagnosis as me, so that is absolutely amazing. Look at that. So you did know it. You say you're 1 down, 3 to go. Let's see how we go. Okay. So
that's a little bit of a guess, but do you know what I was actually just thinking? Like, you're really creative, and I feel like to be able to make a TV show, you have to be really creative. So that's why I just thought I'd guess it.
That is pretty interesting. Look at you saying I'm creative. I'm not really creative, honestly. I sit in my room and make videos every day. That's not really that creative. It's the same background every time. And anyway, right, let's go. Question number 2. Which one of these people are autistic? Okay, I'm going to name out 3 people. Susan Boyle, Nelson Mandela, or Piers Morgan. Which one of those is autistic?
I have no idea.
Oh my goodness. One of them is really famous for being autistic.
Nelson Mandela.
No, it wasn't Nelson Mandela. It's Susan Boyle.
Okay.
Susan Boyle has
Wow,
a diagnosis of
didn't know
Asperger's
that.
syndrome as well. Yeah, it's
That's
super
going to be one of
fascinating.
those facts that I just pop out to somebody now.
Yeah, you're gonna know. You see, you're gonna know. You'd be like, "Yeah, Susan Boyle's autistic." Word up, yo! No, it's fun because she did a whole thing on like a news thing, and yeah, it was really interesting. And loads of people were like, "Yeah," on the National Autistic Society thought it was fantastic, and I think it's fantastic to see people like that, like heroes in the autism field. Just amazing. I love it. All right. So you're on 50-50 here right now. You could still pull this back. We still have like 2 questions to go, and I might have a bonus question if you're really up for it. So here we go. Okay, question number 3: which company do you think specifically has a program to employ autistic people? So which company literally goes after autistic people to hire them, right? And these are the list of companies, okay? Which one of these? Google, Twitter, or Microsoft? Which one do you think?
Microsoft.
It is Microsoft. Hey, look at that.
They all should really, but yeah.
They all should really. And I think Google would really benefit from it because a lot of my friends who are on the spectrum are really good at coding. So I think like they're missing out there. But Microsoft literally have a program designed to invite and interview people on the autism spectrum to get them involved. Yeah, awesome. And this is another little factoid you can whap out. Bill Gates is actually on the spectrum as well. He hasn't got an official diagnosis, but his traits and how he comes across as typically has Asperger's syndrome, which is pretty amazing. Yeah, he's a very fascinating guy actually. So yeah, there you go. Okay, last question, and we've got a bonus question as well. So we'll see how you do on this one. So the last question is, what shoe company just released autism shoes for people on the autism spectrum? And I'll read out the companies, okay? So you can pick from these: Nike, Adidas, or Vans.
Wow, Nike.
It was not Nike. It's actually Vans, and I'm wearing them
Vans?
right now. Yeah,
Oh my
Vans.
goodness, okay.
If you kept up to date with my Instagram, you would see that I'm wearing these shoes that were made by Vans, and they are for the autism spectrum. Basically, they were designed with an organization in America, a skateboarding organization, which is also a charity for autistic people. And these are comfy, so for the sensory thing, and they're muted tone colors. And as you notice, they're slip-ons, so there's no shoelaces involved. As all my shoelaces, I rip them out and I put elastic bands in there because shoelaces and I do not get on. So
really?
That was really interesting. Yeah. So
wow, I never would have even knew. I never even knew there was a difference between shoes.
Yeah, it's crazy. So the seams, because we were talking about earlier about sensory processing disorder, there was like the seams on things are quite harsh and materials are quite harsh, so you can't wear them. Like a lot of autistic people have difficulties with socks because of the lining where the toe is, right? So Vans went to town and made these shoes. They're just amazing. Like I swear by it, they're like my new favorite shoe. Yeah, honestly. I skateboard as well, so this is just perfect for me. Like that's it. I'm set. But all right, since you got that one wrong, and I want to give you a chance to redeem it, and so we'll do a 5th question, a bonus one, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to help you out with this one. So Dan Aykroyd has autism, right? So Dan Aykroyd, a famous actor, right? He has autism, and he's actually also a movie director and film producer. So he's made movies. So I'm gonna, I want you to name, if you can, 3 of Dan Aykroyd's films. But what I'll do, I'll give you the first one, which should hopefully give you the another one, because you can guess the other one, and then there's one left. Okay, so here you go. So Dan Aykroyd actually wrote Ghostbusters, and he was in it as well. So,
wow,
2 other films. This one's really easy because I just gave you the first movie. You could guess the second. Okay, cool. Right, so I gave you the first one, which is Ghostbusters. You can easily get this next one.
Ghostbusters 2.
Ghostbusters 2. So you got 2 down. There's 1 movie left to go. And there's a really famous one. And I'll give you some clues. He wears like a trilby hat, dark glasses, and a suit. Plays in a band. And they're driving through the night on a mission from God. Oh, come on, Saf.
Men in Black?
No, but they do dress like the Men in Black.
I don't know.
Come on, dude. It's really iconic music. You're into music, right?
Yeah.
It's a really famous music film. Okay, I'll give you the second word. There's a 2-word. Okay, the second word is brothers, so it's something brothers. Any ideas? Or do you want me to give you the answer?
I really don't know. My dad's whispering behind the door. He's come up and he's like, I know this one. I don't know. I've never seen it.
All right. It's Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers. Okay, I need to go watch that now. I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's a great film.
Movie.
It is. It's amazing, and it's fantastic. Dan Aykroyd is in that, and again, Dan Aykroyd being on the spectrum, God bless him. He wrote and directed. It stars in that film as well. It's an amazing film.
Wow.
It's great, and yeah, you should definitely watch it. And they sing a lot in it because they're in a band, and they put this band together to raise money to help an orphanage or something like that. I can't remember what the building is, but yeah, it's a good film. So, Saf, you actually only got 2 questions right.
Do you know what? That's actually more than I thought I'd get. So
yeah, but considering the bonus one was just more of a fun, I'd say you got 50% of the questions right because there was only really 4 true questions there. So yeah, you did it. You win. Yay! You win half of the thing. I'd say that's more than, and you got Ghostbusters 2. Going to help you with the first. Do you know what? Yeah, okay, I'll let you off. You won the quiz. You do know more than you thought you'd know, and that was pretty awesome. So, Saf, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on my channel to do this. It actually means the world that you come on to do this, because I know you're a busy person, because I know how busy it is being on YouTube and all the other jazz that goes on. So thank you so much for that.
Oh no, thank you for having me. It's actually been really interesting as well. So I'm going to go downstairs and share all these facts to my family now.
Anyway, yes, thank you so much. And I'll leave a link for all Saffron's socials down below. Obviously, you probably all know who Saffron is anyway. But if you don't, I'll leave a link for all her socials down below and check her out. Her YouTube channel is hilarious, and her mum and dad are absolute legends. So I will see you guys in the next video.
Thanks.